Chapter 2. The Wandering Bully. This chapter was written from the point of view of Ellie Nolan. When my armada arrived near planet Athena, I immediately got busy setting up the defensive perimeters that we planned earlier. We found a planet to use as our main base, and we called it Planet Soteria. It was in one of my weekly swing-by 40 mly from the armada base that my armada caught sight of about 3,000 ships wandering around the area. I do this to see what's at the periphery of our defense sphere. This time with 100 ships under the quadrant commander, who is a but commander named Lemon, who served under me in the Bermuda Triangle operation. Can they see us? I asked Tom. Lemon appeared before me as a hollow. No. I will teleport 300 drones to follow them. Tom answered. Okay, send some of the smaller drones inside their bridge. I said. In a few minutes, we could see and hear them. These species look like small hairy bipeds about 5 feet to 5.5 feet, with hair heads that look like foxes with flat noses. In a way, they are beautiful dog-like creatures with flowing multicolored hair or fur and longer limbs. They wore black leather-like uniform similar to medieval soldiers. They have a floating image of a planet on top of a table that they seem to be analyzing. Where's this planet? Lemon asked. Here. Tom was quick and presented a blinking planet in a star map. It's 30 mly away from here or 10 mly out of our sphere. It's in PJ's quadrant. Tom said. PJ appeared. My AI Lisa just told me you found something just outside of my quadrant. Good you're here. Send drone probes near the planet, standard levels. I said. Standard levels mean 5 levels that reach 2 miles into the atmosphere down to the face of the target. Right, General. PJ answered. Sir, they do not seem to see our drones inside their ships. Lemon noted. Taggers and infiltrators are ready on your order. Tom said. I looked at Lemon. I would send them out. Lemon confirmed. Send them out. I told Tom. PJ's drone videos appeared on my left in my bridge. It shows another biped but looks more like cat-faced with shiny white oyster-like skin that reflects colors when light hits it. What's with the cats that the dogs want? I asked. PJ laughed. Sir, you beat me to it. I was going to say that. Lemon said. Tom, the language? 20 minutes more Ellie for the dogs, and 30 minutes for the cats. Tom answered. PJ declared, Sir, I will fly my 100 ships over to the cat planet. Usually when you do this, the 2 other quadrants move half of their fleet closer to the edge of the quadrant with the incident. I expect them to move quickly before we need them. The cats do not seem to know what's happening. They have only recently explored their nearest planet and have a scientific colony on it. They have no FTL and no experience in space exploration. They will be sitting ducks. I mean sitting cats. Lemon said. Normally our scientists look for weapons, flight capabilities, engines, shield generators, communication arrays or relays, and data systems. Then once approved to go in, they immediately try to hack the system and make sure we control their systems. Then they leave viruses on the fringes, ready to work with a confirmation from the hackers. They also leave bombs, EMP, and kinetic. Usually by the time we figure out the language, we already have a makeup of their technologies and fighting capabilities. In most cases, the ships are useless to use even as TP ships. It would mean the ships would have to be teleported down to a planet and destroyed. It is a sin in the Armada to blow up ships in space and scatter all the debris around. Unless of course you clean the area after blowing the ships up. So the best option for useless ships would be to blow them up on a planet. If the ships are well built and can be used as TP ships, we set them aside for future development. Normally, we assess if the engagement is in the immediate period and then decide whether to eat or not. I decided to eat. My rank allows me to eat at my quarters, but I normally eat with the crew. so I fell in line for the food. Then I sit beside anybody. I notice that people were eating faster than usual and nobody is talking. This means they expect immediate deployment or an operation is coming or it is already underway. They leave rather quickly, so by the time I leave my table, there were 2 batches that left already. As I sat on my chair, Ellie, the dogs are really intending to attack the cats who do not know they will be attacked. Do you want to send out scout squads towards the dogs' homeworld? PJ asked. Yes, 1 squad from you and 1 squad from Lemon, I said. After an hour. Ellie, the dogs are going to the cats to collect money, like protection money. So they would be left alone. They are not going to attack. Also, they take a few thousands of the cats to be enslaved, while they return a similar number back to the planet. Tom reported. No, Ellie, the cats do not get paid. PJ sent 10 ships to follow this fleet around as it does its collection duties. There may be planets further out that are within the sphere of influence. I want to investigate their homeworld. Tom, tell my first battle group to meet us here. PJ, Lemon, tell your trainees to sub. You 2 come with me. We have 4 battle groups that serve within the second sphere. PJ and Lemon, as quadrant commanders, have 100 regular ships under each of them and 100 trainee ships. The 4 battle groups are under Admiral Jenny Corse, who have 4 commanders under her. She decided to go with the first battle group to accompany me in the mission. We parked our ships in a gas planet 20 MLY away from the target galaxies, based on the recommendation of our scout ships. That evening at my bridge, the holos of Jenny, PJ, Lemon and Bruno Gonzalez, the first battle group commander, appeared. These are the first group of aliens we see moving around at our outer sphere. They probably belong to a large alien species or several species. It's best to know our neighbors. Also the Laos do not know these guys. I started. They act as the neighborhood bully extracting from the weak. Jenny responded. We must first investigate what we have around us. Bruno said. We already know where their homeworld is. It's 400 MLY from here and apparently they are casting a wide net in the protection racket. PJ said. A star map appeared with light points for our benefit. Based on the scouts report, they have 5 species in a federation. The dogs are the head species with 40 planets, while the others have around 5 to 6. It could be an alliance of convenience for the others. Or they are part of the protection money source. PJ added. This is the picture of our deployment plan in their galaxy. Our 300 ships are evenly distributed end to end here. Tom said. Tell the loonies to deploy our TP ships, 1 line, towards this galaxy. I said. We decided to do the ship creep, which means a ship is thrown to a target planet, which is usually a gas planet, then that ship throws another ship to another planet and so on until we reach the doorstep of our target. In a day, we were in the closest gas planets around the target planets. Then we sent out invisible infiltrators, taggers, and bombers to their biggest ships. We also sent out infiltrators to the planet capital to determine and spy on their leadership. Once we find out who these people are, they were promptly tagged. Once tagging is started, the normal practice is that we go down the line in the ships. First the bridge and the commanders, then engineering, then their small attack ships, and so on until the last guy. For bombing, the first order would be their engines, then shields, then communications, then their small attack ships, and finally, their armory equipment. We start with their command ships, then go down the chain of command. The hacking and information gathering is also targeted to save time. We are always conscious of the fact that we would be found out and our information flow may be cut off, so we try our best to get the most important information first. We always leave a virus, and we have several. The first tier would stop them from using or accessing their data systems. Their information is usually preserved for our use. The second tier would erase large swaths of information but still preserving the most important information. The third tier would literally fry the systems, trigger our EMP bombs, and start the timer for our kinetic bombs, if programmed to do so. The first 3 days of tagging and infiltration is critical. Once we pass this threshold, the pace relaxes a bit, and after 2 weeks, we settle to a steady mellow pace. We stayed with these guys for 5 weeks until we felt comfortable that we have enough for a knockout punch. This means that all the slaves were tagged. Then we talked to them. We found out that the Federation is led by the dog species called Timon, and the other species were their underlings. The Timons were led by an emperor, and his planets were governed by his generals and children. They have slaves to do their menial work, and their citizens work on easier tasks. Some houses, especially the rich ones, have several slaves. We were surprised to find some butts as slaves in the households, and working menial tasks. They control 12 species, who serve as slave sources. They pay protection money, so their people will not be enslaved. If they pay less, some would be enslaved. Some slaves are returned after serving for 20 years, if they are still alive at this point. We also found their ships to be very weak and their weapons subpar. Their personnel armor are good, but will be sliced clean by our plasma swords. They prevent their underlings from having weapons or ships, even transport ships. Again, Lamon fronted for us. He flew in his old ship from just outside their scanning range, which was 10 mly, that we considered near because it's within our TP range. Lamon hailed them for an audience with their leaders. He was instructed to land near a huge military headquarters and escorted by a dozen guards to see the main commander. "Greeting, I am the great Lamon of the Butts Empire." Lamon exclaimed. "I am Viceroy Jared of the Timon Empire." Jared gestured to Lamon to sit. "I see that you have butts like me in your galaxy serving as slaves. I would like to get all of them." Lamon said direct to the point, without any emotion, even if I know he would be fuming mad at this point. "How much would you pay for them?" "We have 12,500,000 of them." "I don't have your money." "How about diamonds?" "I know you guys value diamonds." "Okay, give us 12,500 tons of diamond and you can have them." Tom told Lamon that the planet has millions of tons of diamonds underground. "All of them?" "Yes." "Where do you want me to put your diamonds?" "At the square and gardens in front of the building." "What about the other slaves, can I buy them?" "We have about 2 billion slaves of various species." "Do you think you can pay 2 million tons of diamonds? All your other slaves for 2 million tons?" "Yes." "Okay, I will deliver 2,012,500 tons of diamond in a few days. Please tell all your slaves to get ready to leave in a few days." We positioned 20 ships near the diamond source and teleported the diamond onto the ground. Then some of our people put tags on the diamond. In 3 days, we teleported them to the square in front of the building. The diamond were spread for several miles, some forming a small hill. By this time we have a planet 30 mly away that we prepared to teleport the slaves for processing before we send them back to their home world. Lamon was in front of the diamond hill and asked Viceroy Jared to ready all the slaves and we will take them all out. Jared made sure to broadcast the diamond meeting to all their planets. This hill and the diamond all around are more than 3 million tons. These should be enough for all your slaves. Did you tell them to prepare so we can get them? Lamon said. We have a little problem since some of our people do not want to part with their slaves. We had an agreement. Please honor our agreement. Lamon said. I am sorry, there is nothing I can do. Jared said. I demand to talk to your emperor. Lamon shouted. Okay, he knows what is happening. He will be here to accept the diamond. Jared said. The emperor walked out of his transport ship and approached Lamon. Thank you for the diamond. I see you brought more that we agreed on. The emperor started. Yes, I am hoping to get all the slaves as we agreed on. Lamon said. I am sorry, but some of my people do not want to part with their slaves, and I cannot force them to. Why don't you just get what you can and leave? You can come back later to buy some more. Please honor our agreement. Lamont insisted. That's just the way it is. I suggest you leave with what slaves you can get. Jared said, repeating what the Emperor said. We had an agreement. Please honor our agreement. Lamont pleaded. Just get whatever slaves you can get. Jared repeated. Okay, I will get whatever slave I can get. Also, since you broke our agreement, I will put a curse on your people that you will not be permitted to travel the galaxies for 100 years. Lamont looked straight at the drone cameras. The great Lamont curses your whole empire. It's good doing business with you. By the way, we will have more slaves for you to buy next year. Jared said, repeating what the Emperor said. Frankly, after I put a curse on your people, I cannot imagine that you can even travel and get new slaves. Lamont said. And with that, we started to teleport all the slaves from all their planets to the holding planet. It took us 3 days to do this, and our TPs were almost overheating. We double-checked the planets for any slave left behind, and we did see some and promptly got them out. As in the Bermuda Triangle operation, we also targeted their food supplies to feed our refugees. The Laos were really useless in these refugee operations. The refugees themselves were more useful. After we got all the slaves, we removed all their people from their ships and gave the ships to the slaves so they can fly these to their home worlds. We did not expect them to come back, and this time the ships were just enough to fly all the slaves back. They left in groups escorted by Armada ships. We left 50 ships and 1 million drones scattered around their galaxy to make sure all their ships were gone. That all returning ships were promptly emptied and removed. We planted several spies who changed to local forms to spread the rumor about Lamont's curse. After a while, the Timons realized that they have no more military ships except small transport ships. And from the stories of the teleported personnel, realized that they magically appeared on the ground and their ships were gone. At my bridge, PJ raised a valid point. General, if we have neighbors like these in our backyard of up to 400 MLY, we can assume we have another almost all around our colonies. All of us agreed. Okay, Jenny, order the 3 battle groups to recon the area on the other side up to 400 MLY. I think we will be busy sanitizing the area for a very long time. Yes, Ellie. I would go with them. We will move to our other backyard up to 400 MLY. Jenny said, and Tom provided a star map. This area here. Jenny added, gesturing with her hand. Very well, Jenny. I agreed. Okay, Tom, tell the Armada we leave in 4 hours. Leave only 10 ships to monitor the Federation. We moved in very loose formation that was 20 MLY wide. It was not long for us to make contact with the species. In fact, we met 3 in various points in the 20 MLY net in the first week alone. Since we have established procedures in these cases, I simply get confirmation on what they were actually doing. There were 3 groups of ships, and each group was trailed by 10 of our ships. The rest of the net moved on. After a few days, we meet one group, and after another few days, we meet another. In a month, we were able to catch 10 groups, although 2 of them were the same species. Also within this month, the first group's information have been pieced together and that we learned their language. It turned out that 8 of the groups were peaceful groups until the 3rd week's group, where one group was determined to be particularly aggressive. We met another group of the aggressive species after a week. We decided to investigate this group further. After 2 months of data gathering, we determined that none of the 9 groups were a threat to our colonies in any meaningful way. By this time, we were already in their capital planets, investigating them. We also found out that they were trading with each other. Their data systems show nothing on any aggressive species they have met. We also determined that their data systems were not as sophisticated as ours, so we were able to establish control early on. They also have no history of aggression on other species. In a way, these were the kind of species that will benefit our colonies. We left 120 spy drones per planet and made our plans to move further out. I told PJ and Lamont to split and take 2 large areas. I left with 5 ships for Jenny's area. Before arriving at Jenny's area, I again read her reports just to make sure I did not miss anything. "Hi Ellie, good to see you again," Jenny greeted. She was with Mako, the Butts commander of the 2nd Battle Group, and Justine, the human commander of the 3rd Battle Group. "Good to see you too, Mako, Justine," I acknowledged. "So how is your neck of the woods?" "Good, nothing out of the ordinary. Based on the data systems of the species, we found nothing that could even remotely be called a threat to our colony. We can very well start trading with these species. Pretty much like your end," Jenny summarized. "We were planning to move to another area here," Jenny said. Her AI James showed a star map and lighted the area. "We can move over to this side of the Leo colony, maybe up to 500 mly. Jenny conjectured. "We can do that," I agreed. "Good, Mako, Justine, are we all ready?" Jenny asked. "Yes, sir," Mako and Justine answered. Again, we formed a wide net formation of up to 20 mly and moved outwards from the Leo colony area. There was nothing until we reached almost the end of 500 mly. This time we encountered a fleet of 1,400 very large ships. Their smallest must be my ship size. The ships were moving 10% of our speed and they do not seem to see our ships. Since our net was 20 mly wide, we conjectured that they must be heading somewhere within this area. "Mako, send out our infiltrators," Jenny said. In a few minutes, we could see the alien as skinny humanoids with big heads and eyes, brown skin, and looked malnourished. They wore black armor, but were not wearing any headgear. Their ships were large and their bridge was wide and had consoles on the left and right side only. The front of the captain's chair looks like a window showing the dark open space. Our ships shifted to the direction of the fleet and in an hour, we determined their destination. There was a group of planets, about 20 in 12 solar systems. Justine sent drones out to each planet. We could see that the ships were similar in design, so this must be their home world. We also saw another fleet of similar ships, maybe 1,500 total, coming from the opposite direction. Maybe they were consolidating their ships. Maybe they are consolidating to prepare for something, I told Jenny. She teleported hundreds of drones 50 mly away in various vectors to search for ships. And we found them 40 mly away. 5,600 ships headed for the 20 planets. These ships were as big as the ships consolidating in the 20 planets. Jenny moved all the drones to surround these 5,600 ships, and some went into their hangar bays. Justine, send out our infiltrators to the invading fleet, Jenny said. In a few minutes we could see the bridge and it was as large as the malnourished Big Head's bridge and had more consoles with more people around. The other aliens, the malnourished, were headed to look like ugly hairy gorillas. Some were short, but some were huge. They were wearing a silver metallic armor in various parts of their bodies. The armor design looked mean and badass, but not functional. In less than an hour, we were able to determine their language. We also were able to download all the information from both armadas. We could not find any information pertaining to an attack or armed conflict. What we found was intentions to posture. Both species, the malnourished and gorillas, belong to a federation of 4 species, and all these species trade with each other. But they do not share technology. Just in case we left dormant viruses in all their data systems in all the ships. These viruses will work once activated. Some will simply create a communications link from their systems to ours, while some will destroy their systems. We stayed with them for a month until we were comfortable enough to leave. We made sure that we were able to monitor them and listen in on their conversations wherever we were. They do not constitute a threat, and we just left before the end of the 2nd month. When we got back at Athena, we found out that 3 months ago, the four species created a colony council composed of 2 humans, 2 butts, 2 loonies, and 2 Laos. As expected, Jenny and I were part of the 10-person council. It was headed by Juma, the head of the Leo backup colony. His assistant was a loony called Eris. 2 contrasting personalities. Matt and John were able to establish a unitary colony of the 4 species, without separation. They insisted that humans be allowed to live in any colony planet and any alien can live in the other colony planets, including the human planet of Athena or our military base planet. That the Armada will protect the 4 species since all the species are represented in the Armada. This created the pressure for all the species to adapt to the laws, customs, and culture of the other species in the way the Armada does anyway. Frankly, I do not know why the 2 insisted on this, and that the aliens agreed at all. I know the 2 have conned all of these separately, but collectively? These guys are good. There were actually 5 species if you include the riots. Only 4 riots remained permanently in the Leo colony. 2 were alternately being studied while the 2 were just going around. Our missions gave them the basic information and now they want to see for themselves, to experience these various aliens by themselves. There were several riots who also went around to see what's up before going through the gateway. Some stay longer than others, so we normally have riots around and they now form part of the colony as minor species. None of the riots that went through the Leo gateways ever returned. Later, we found out that word has gotten around the riots worlds that the Laos have a dimension gateway that they can go through in exchange for a test subject. This meant a steady stream of riots arriving and parking their ships near the colony planets. The colony people, mostly humans and loonies, were all over their ships which come from a lot of galaxies and have technologies we have never seen before. Later, some of these were turned into training ships explaining nuances and technologies that come from far away. The loonies provided 2 space stations, one for the arts headed by Chris and the other for Laos. It was a practical joke they pulled on the Laos to confuse them because they do not need a space station in the first place. We humans call it an unsolicited gift. The council decided to turn the space station into a technology research center, but not all for our military. The next day after we returned to planet Sodera, Jenny and I were called in front of the council for our first meeting in planet Athena. I was surprised to see my old friend Morgan Santos as the second human council member. The first human council member was an older mixed Asian guy called Mike Tan, who was absent. The first but council member was Tammy, the married younger brother of Miran, while his second was Monam, a female but who worked as assistant sub-emperor to Miran's married sister. The second Leo council member was a guy called Mutta, who was also the head of the Leo Colony Science and Research. The last council member was a loony called Natal, who was Beetle's head of science research. Juma started, "We have reviewed all your reports and we are impressed. Not only did you create a protective shield among our planets, now we know more about what lies around us. You have been out for a bit of time and during that time, we formed the council. I guess your ships have informed you of all the happenings in our little world." He looked at Morgan. Eris looked at me. This was the guy I worked with and earlier took over managing the TP network until John decided that his skills would be better used developing the colony or what I understood to be the colony. Morgan started. "Ellie, Jenny, welcome. For all of you who do not know, Ellie and I have known each other in the military for years. Actually, we've been friends since high school in Eagle Rock, California. Ellie, Jenny, we are in the process of creating the Military War Council for the colony. Besides me, there will be 1 loony, 1 Leo, and 1 but in the council. Ellie, you will head the War Council as chairman and Jenny will be your assistant council chairman. I am really sorry about this, and I wish to assure you that I tried very hard to prevent you from being named as chairman. The council reports to the Colony Council. To prevent any misunderstanding, the Colony Council is actually a mix of the 4 species. The council decided to call the colony the Bhull colony, composed of butts, humans, loonies, and Laos. That's spelled B-H-U-L and L from the species name. So the War Council would be known as the Bhull War Council. No, it's not bullshit. It's really a thing. Stop reading my mind, Morgan. I told him. Continuing, as you know, the Armada is composed of Bhulls. You are all brothers in arms and coexist to keep our civilizations protected. And you have worked really well together, not only around our area, but in others. The colony is simply an extension of the Armada, or vice versa. Short of interbreeding, which is not possible, we are all joined at the hips. Brothers in arms, this will never change. Juma talked again. Humans have the least number of people in our colony. But you guys brought us together. I think it's your ability to understand and start off practical jokes that endeared you to the loonies, your military capabilities that made the butts look at you with awe, or your kindness to give my civilization anything we need without the benefit of getting paid that made you very close to us. What I can assure you with our partnerships is that you will never want for anything. We have machines that will extend your lives. We have machines that will create your food. We have machines to create machines. We have machines that will turn anything to something else. We have machines that will bring you to other dimensions, and these are all available to you. I know of the human and loony cooperation in science and military technology. And they will find our machines useful. It was the fault of Matt, John, and Amy that we find ourselves in this Bhull situation. I said. Eris laughed and said, that is so true. It's really a practical joke that the three did, and it's continuing. First, we will see our lives becoming longer, then we will see our people becoming telepathic, then after several generations, telekinetic. Like what the Laos are doing to themselves with the help of the riots. It's more like an experiment if you ask me. Jenny spoke this time. Madam Chairman, Ellie, I will resign unless you let me reorganize the Armada. Okay. I said. Okay, what? Do I resign or not? Please reorganize the Armada. It will be very extensive and will be an upheaval. Jenny said. Okay. I said and realized the follow-up question, I mean reorganize extensively. Juma spoke again, Ellie, one of the tenets of the council is to aim for the best of what we can be for all our 4 species. My species are blessed with a purpose. We want to be like the riots, but that we can still die and reproduce. We know that the road is long based on the research from Trio, we have a very long way to go. But we are happy in this journey. What you are saying is that our pursuit is to reach the limit of the capabilities as a species? I asked. Yes. Juma answered. Tammy started. When we started to form the council, Juma asked everyone what our end game is, and I told him we want to thrive and grow our civilization. That is the purpose, to live and grow. Now we have the chance to live longer than we can imagine, and in the length of time, what would we be doing? Now Juma asked me again what my end game is after we lived for so long and grew to a large civilization. Do we pursue the Leo end game? Is it relevant at all at this point in our species' existence? Maybe after 500,000 years, we can say that we have grown and thrived enough, mastered the universe, and then maybe it's time to look at what we can be individually. What you are saying is that after 1,000,000 years of pursuing the material side, we can now turn to developing our minds to its full potential. And would it be more efficient if we can develop our minds now while pursuing the material side of civilization building? I clarified. Yes, exactly. Juma said. And maybe develop faster in the material side if we develop our minds early on. Morgan added. I guess the length of life has a correlation with the start of the pursuit of the development of the mind. I said. Exactly. Juma said. We take care of our basic necessities first. Foremost is security, which you did, then food, which the Leo machine can help provide. After this, I believe that we should pursue to develop our minds and bodies to be the best there can be. We can be telepathic, then telekinetic. Morgan said. What we learned from Trio is the need for art and cultural development. Chris has opened our eyes to the fact that our goals will never be reached if we do not pursue art and culture. That includes good food. Now our machines may not create the best food, but at least they do some basic ones. This is work in progress. We want to taste the best food. We want to express ourselves in an art form. There are so many material goals. Along the way, if we pursue the development of our minds, things would be better because a developed mind will enable us to taste the food better, to feel things. Then hear music better, then feel the music better. To look at art and feel the art. To evaluate things and feel them too. We feel humans are more advanced in this area, and Chris is very much appreciated by my people. Juma said. And we found out that Chris is telepathic and telekinetic. Her level of emotional connection to an event that she paints is beyond feelings. I saw her painting with her mind. I saw paint move by themselves on the canvas. She is beyond a level my species can only hope to be at the moment. Muda added. That's all good. But to me, telepathy and telekinesis are things I can and will weaponize. I agree, we should pursue these right away so we can use them to defend our species. I said. I did not tell the council that Matt told the riots to make me telepathic and telekinetic very early on. That Matt and John are still debating whether to make some of the leaders in this colony, and in the Armada telepathic at least. Of course, Ellie. That is so you. Morgan said. No, don't mistake my military purpose, I completely agree with the council and its purposes. I said. But I also want to enjoy myself while doing these things. And I believe humans would be doing the same. To enjoy and find happiness in this new reality, while doing whatever to improve ourselves. I guess this is our endgame. After a week, Matt and his family arrived and established themselves in a house in Athena. They all live in one house with Amy and John and their son, Matt, John's mother and her husband, and Chris too. Later, I found out that Amy and John together with their son went back to Earth since Amy was the head of the Federation. Matt and John attended a meeting with the Armada Council we held in my ship. Early on I was already telepathic and telekinetic, but nobody knows except these two. In the meeting, the Armada Council included Morgan, Tammy, Gino Aluni, and Homan Aleo. Good to see you again, Matt, John. I greeted. Please sit. Good to be here. Matt answered. John started, Ellie, we have talked with the riots, and we agreed to make all the Bhull Council, Armada Council, commanders, and subcommanders telepathic, but not telekinetic. Jenny reacted, What, you can do that? We can all be telepathic? Tammy exclaimed. Yes. We also told the riots to create the telepathic boxes so you can talk to your ships and the 2 space stations. Also next week, we will be receiving 2 Matt-class ship for you Ellie and you Jenny, 9 John-class ships for the 4 quadrant commanders, 4 battle group commanders, and 1 exclusively for the Armada Council group use that will be assigned to Morgan since he is the only military person in the council other than you two. These John-class ships are 10 times bigger than your ships, but the Matt-class ships are 10 times bigger than the John-class ships. Matt added. But you have 9 John-class to 2 of Matt-class. John pointed out. Matt laughed and added, there will also be another 1,000 Armada-class ships each with 500 butts, 500 loonies, 500 Leos, and 500 humans per ships that will come with these big ships next week. These ships are all new designs, new standards, new capabilities, and a lot more firepower. We understand that Jenny wanted to reorganize, and these ships will be part of the reorganization. We are still finalizing the plans with all the commanders. So those ships will alter the plans a bit. Jenny added. John, tell me about my ship. I asked. No, I will tell you about the John-class ships only. John said and a hollow of the John-class appeared. It looks so plain. Jenny commented. Matt waved his hand and a hollow of the Matt-class ship appeared. It looks so plain and is no different from the John class. I commented. They look almost the same, but the matte class is bigger. Look, the matte class has more design features. Matt clarified and pointed to the design patterns. They have the same teardrop shape except that the matte class is bigger and had some design patterns on its top and 10 times bigger. This size difference does not really make them look different, especially at great distances. A list of features appeared beside each of the two holos. I see that the matte class is as big as a flying space station, but shaped like a silver teardrop. Sleek, no windows or doors. I figure all will be teleported in and out. I said. I like the simplicity of design. Where will the name appear? Jenny said. Here, look at this. Matt said and quickly recreated the holo, and Jenny's ship name appeared on top with our Armada flag design, her battle group logo and species logo all neatly designed in a teardrop shape. I like it. Jenny concluded. It has a park and huge reception area at the bottom rear here. Matt said, pointing to the rear, and then showed a holo of the park reception area. Wow, that is beyond level 10. I said. It's silver and no other color? Morgan asked. No, the silver is really a type of metal the loonies invented to create big structures. It's strong and very hard to break. John explained. And the list shows that each ship has 100 regular TPs, 40 medium, 20 large TPs, and 2,000 plasma cannons. It also says theoretically have 10,000 drones and 10,000 RPC, 100,000 EMP mines, 100,000 regular kinetic mines. What does that even mean, theoretically? Jenny asked. It means you can have up to 100,000 RPC, but you get 10% of the numbers as of now. You will reach your theoretical maximum in a few months. John explained. Also, we asked the Laos to install the wave posts in all the ships so that your people will slowly get to extend their lives. This will take time, since they are already committed to create the posts for the colony planets first. John added. Wait, if you can make us telepathic, why not make all of the Armada and the colony population telepathic? Tammy asked. The riots did not agree. We are trying to convince them to make the Armada people telepathic at least, since they are risking their lives to protect the colony, and to this they may agree, but not now. They said next year or so. Ellie, you have to continuously pester them to make the whole colony telepathic and summon your military telekinetic. John said. I would definitely enjoy myself doing that. I said, and they all laughed. What will happen is that when word gets around on the Armada people getting the telepathic benefit, a lot of Laos, loonies, and butts will be joining the Armada. Especially now that the number of ships have increased. For example, a tenth of Ellie's ships or 200 ships will be taken by science teams who want to be part of the Armada, and that they will work on creating whatever as the Armada moves around or as needed in the battlefield. The technological output of these ships will be tremendously beneficial to the Armada and will increase due to telepathic communications between scientists. These are all good developments for the Armada. Matt explained. John stood, and that's about it for us. He said to them telepathically, and they all stood. Before the two left the meeting, by the way, you all are now telepathic. You just did not notice it, but my last explanation was telepathically conveyed to you. Matt said. I looked at my council, and they all looked at each other. It was the funniest thing. The next week, Isabella arrived with her own 1,000 ships. She was with Trio, who told Matt about their mission to connect with another Leo backup colony, 700 MLY away. Matt and 30 riots went with her. I noticed the TP ships they brought were smaller and not the regular big ships. Jenny's revised plan picked up from the fact that 10% of our ships were science ships, and a squad has 10 ships with one science ship commanded by a squad commander. 20 squads or 200 ships will be commanded by a company fleet commander. The quadrant commanders and battle group commander became these fleet commanders. The last 400 was split between me and Jenny as part of our own battle group. Jenny revised our logistics and remote asset deployment by using our large TP ships as stationary bases deployed in a network 3 layers around our central planets. These TP ships were deployed mostly near planets, preferably gaseous ones, and if this not at all possible, near planets or moons. The idea is that travel between them are very easy, and they provide logistic storage and deployment capabilities. What Jenny effectively did was to put our logistics far into the target areas for quick deployment and use. The TP ships also provide services to the troops while in operations if they were near. It has a small contingent of Marines that can respond quickly without the need for our fleets to respond. These TP ships can deploy probes, drones, RPCs, mines, and have their own plasma cannons installed. The 3 layers are 40 mly from each other, so they are very close. It would be impossible for any ship to venture even 100 mly from our sphere without being detected. Once detected, the RPCs, drones, probes, mines, and bombs are teleported near or inside the ships, and these weapons systems attach themselves to the ships. If the intrusion warrants further investigation, the nearest fleet is contacted for tagging and infiltration purposes. In between these 40 mly would be the 8 fleets moving around in wide circles up to 400 mly away from the outermost or third level of the sphere. The 8 fleets would understandably encounter our neighbors beyond this area, but they will not even engage. They will simply investigate if at all warranted. Flyby would be a common practice. A lot of people think this is a very aggressive overkill, but I do not. We did see numerous trespassers, and we just let them be since they do not see our main planets and the military base has cloaked infrastructure. We did plant viruses and probes inside them. We do not even make contact with these if we find no aggression at all. Once there were 10 ships that wanted to settle in one of the planets within the 3 layers. We promptly tagged them, put them in the ships, and teleported their ships 300 mly away. We can teleport ships 300 mly away if we use several ships, in this case 10 ships, throwing one ship after another to the other ship, which throws the ships again to the next. This happens very quickly, in about 5 minutes, and the people inside the ships will just see their ship's vectors change again and again, until they stop. We do not even disable their ships. We just push them out of the sphere. These ships actually try to return, and since they were tagged already, the TP station simply throws them 40 mly away again. They returned twice. They decided to not to return after 5 TP ships teleported them to another side of the sphere. I believe they got lost and could not return to where they originally wanted to go. The fleets actually found this case funny. They developed teleportation scenarios and how to deal with intruders using this capability. The ideal scenario is if they can determine where these ships come from, they will teleport them back to their home worlds, and this could be 400 mly away. At this distance, return would not be probable because it's just too far, and they would have to travel for weeks or even months if they are that slow. We do send out small ships to appear as lost, appearing as other aliens, also to tell the other ships the same experience and to plant the idea that somebody does not want to be bothered or that the space is cursed or there is a space-time anomaly. Nobody believes these tales, but we planted them anyway. It was a fun covert operation. The Colony Council actually supported the isolationist stance, but will decide when we can start dealing with our neighbors. They all agreed to start communicating with our neighbors after 200 years. They reasoned that we need time to develop our planets, increase and develop our population, to develop our technologies and our armada, and need time to develop trade within our own group, which includes the Butts home world, the human worlds, and the Loony world. The Leos are isolationists by nature except for the other armada species. One of the benefits of our initial setup of spy drones and hacked systems is that we have people monitoring these, and information on their activities are easily determined. If we find anything that would involve our colony, we deal with it quickly. In a way, we were isolated from the rest of the galaxy but have eyes and ears all around beyond our borders. After several months of doing these, we practically know our neighbors by heart. One incident created a big response from the Armada. Our information bureau found out that a virulent virus that could cause a plague was being handled inappropriately. We created a response team that studied the virus based on the data system information. It would be deadly only for the local Timons and not to other species. Once this was ascertained, I dispatched a spy scout to get some samples. In a month, our scientists were able to create a nano-antigen that attaches to the virus, rendering it dormant. Another group were able to come out with a vaccine that altered the time in DNA to create and attach a memory of defense against and to be impervious to this virus. Then we waited for the right moment to deliver the goods. Remember, this species is still cursed. Another intel that we closely monitored was an impending attack from another species outside the galaxy of the gorillas and malnourished. We determined it would be a danger to their federation because the gorillas and malnourished were now cooperating in developing a defensive plan and for the first time are now exchanging technologies with each other. And to us, of course, because we can see all their exchanges. I sent 4 scout squads to the attacking species to gather information in addition to what the gorillas and malnourished have already. As I explained earlier, our neighbors were not at all near our level of technology. But even then, we spied on all their technologies and ongoing researches. We knew most of the researches would end up useless, because we have experience with them. But there were researches that were in very different directions that we have never considered. These were interesting, so we have teams monitoring these researches. In a few of these we had breakthroughs already because our technologies allowed us to move faster. Especially on researches that deal with matter and materials,